Okay, so I just finished the last day in this series. Okay, so we're into week 5. Day 11 was the capstone. Now I gotta go remember. What was day 12? Oh, yeah, day 12 was the guessing game, which was, I think, totally fun, introducing the concepts of global and local and constants. And anyway, I thought this was fun as well. And then day 13 was really debugging. And we have covered debugging some already. So I thought we would take one of her suggestions about her tips, right? So she went through her tips. And one of the things I want you to have you do is, and let me just go back to this, right? So I want you to write and find bugs. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you some parameters for this, right? So step one is either write something on your own. You can use your own Dev Zero or something we've covered in 11 and 12, right? And then, so create a new folder, W5, and then create a new file named main.py and introduce, so get the code working, right? Introduce the bugs. And, in this case, do a variety of bugs. Don't just do one, right? Do at least a couple, right? I put syntax and logic, right? But because I just break, so some you might want to have to where when they, and we saw her do this, like clearly when you run it, you get a syntax error, right? And then others is logic, like it's just not producing the output. So, make this challenging. And I'm going to give you a parameter for that. So in your reply, once you get this ready, right? Provide a link to your main.py, right? Remember, by the way, too, that when you're pasting your URLs, if for some reason they're not coming out as links, you can always come over here and paste in that link here. Most browsers I've noticed automatically do this, but it just makes everyone's life easier if these are links and they don't have to cut and paste them because, that's just too much work. Okay, maybe it's just me. All right, so let me go back here. So in your reply, provide a link to your, now I say files here because if you wanted to, right, you could actually do two. I would be fine with that. I'd kind of say, right, if you only do a syntax for one, then maybe do something else for another one if you want to do more than one, or if you want to put it in one. But I want you to make these something that takes a little more time. So in your reply, and this is going to be the interesting part because everybody has a different view of this, but rate the bug you introduce from 1 being easy, 10 being hard. Okay? So that's step 1. Now, step 2 is select at least one of your fellow student posts. Now, in this case, because I think the challenging part for this code, for this project, may be because some people tend to work closer to the due date. So I'm hoping at least a couple of you will work ahead enough to have something for each other to look at. But the key is, right, I don't want to see everybody use the first post as the one. I really, really only want one student to look at somebody else's code, right? But I also, as the due date approaches, right, if we don't have an even number posting, then I'm fine having one or two maybe have multiples, but try to keep it, you know, 1-to-1, meaning one person post a bug, one person post right. So by the way, here, let me cover this completely is select at least one of your student posts, copy their code into a new file into your W5 that you name fixed underscore main.py. And in there, fix the bugs you find and then provide a link to the Python file. Now, what you could do here is post your first one and then come back later and post this one. Okay. And then in this case, also provide a link to the file you fixed and note how you found the issues. She gave us a great way of doing this, like identifying the problem, right? How did you approach this? And some of us think more like a computer is another, and that's okay if your troubleshooting is like you can read the code and look at it. But I think this is going to be a lot more interesting if you actually approach this from that step by step identification of problem process she gave us. Okay. Now, here's the key too is if you need help, then post your reply to the person's code and ask, oh, should be ask them for a hint. Now, this is where again we all work sometimes at different times of the day. And so that can be a little more challenging, right? And again, I suspect as we move closer, but here's what I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to work sooner in the week as you can with this particular item. And I think the last day here, the week, day 13, actually, I think should go a little faster. Again, I don't know, and I don't want to make assumptions, but I'm hoping so, so that, and I will cover this in my attendance for this week. So, okay, so I should be a link, right? And then rate your issue. Do include these two. Here's the range of code you can write your own. Use your dev zero, which by the way would be a bit more challenging, right? Because then you might, and this is where, because they'd have to study your code, that could be a more challenging because then it takes time to study somebody else's code, by the way, just FYI. And if you end up finding you want to create directories under your W5 for if you end up doing more code there as well, that's fine. There's other ways you could grab people's code by cloning it locally, but that's why if you do the whole dev zero, it might create a little more challenge for people to do that. Okay, so just I know there could be a couple of challenges here, but again, write your own dev zero or cover something in 11 and 12. Don't go back further and don't cover anything that was covered already in day 13. Okay, all right. I hope this is fun. Finding bugs is always fun. All right, hope this. I'll look forward to seeing your output here.